Number 10. Canals from Don't Panic, It's Longer Now. We're now on the first entry list appearance of a song from my favourite all-time low album. Honestly, Don't Panic alone is a fantastic album that already is the absolute best all-time low album in my opinion. But Don't Panic, It's Longer Now is even better, with more awesomeness and 4 tracks that really add to the quality of the album. And one of my favourites from those tracks is Canals. It's such a shame that this song is rarely played live, having only really been known to be played on one tour cycle, which I was thankfully at, so I got to see this song live in person in 2017. It's a very unorthodox song, being really different from your average all-time low release. And you know what? That's completely okay. That's actually part of what makes it stand out for me. Canals is a very introspective and reflective track. It's about seeking validation from others, but also trying to recognise that you are your own harshest critic. Alex really sings about how he's a walking contradiction and how he needs to be told that he's alright, but he's also trying to convince himself that he's alright. And honestly, this song sounds quite simple, but on guitar, it's harder to play than you might think. Especially that bridge where the chords change and everything gets all strange, but it still weirdly works. It's an extremely unique song, and I understand why it wasn't on the standard edition of Don't Panic, and why it wasn't released as a single, but it needs so much recognition. There's like a small community of all-time low fans out there that think this is the best all-time low song, and honestly, I can see why. This song needs justice. It deserves justice. You owe yourself a favour, even if you listen to nothing else on Don't Panic, It's Longer Now, to go out of your way to give this song a listen. It's absolutely a hidden gem that's slept on way too much and worth seeking out. You gotta let me be me! Number 9. January Gloom, Seasons Part 1 from Wake Up Sunshine. If there's one song that's absolutely perfect to start a new year, after New Year's Day that is, it's this song. Honestly, as someone who really struggled with my mood in the winter seasons, I can really relate to the message of this song. Even if you're a fan of winter, most people really struggle with January. It's a really cold, harsh month that just drags on. This year, I've been lucky enough to be busy in January, but even then, there were still moments where it felt like a drag, like it does every year. And that emotion, sadness and desperation is perfectly captured in Alex's vocal delivery and the lyrics. The instrumentation as well is very much melancholic and energetic at the same time, which I don't think any other song does as well as this one. Ironically enough, coming from an album called Wake Up Sunshine, you would think a song like this doesn't fit on the album at all, but actually, it fits perfectly and it's one of the standout songs. It's full of hope and a fantastic song from a fantastic album. You gotta let me be me! Number 8. Do You Want Me Dead from Dirty Work. Dirty Work is a very interesting album in All-Time Low's discography. Upon release, it was considered a mainstream sellout album from a pop-punk band, and it definitely feels like that in places. It was the band's first release with a major label, and they were really getting on the pop trends of the time. They really wanted to break into the mainstream, and Nothing Personal really opened the gateway for that, but Dirty Work was a mixed bag, to say the least. At least it was considered that way on release. Nowadays, a lot of the songs from Dirty Work have actually garnered the love they deserve, which is great because there's a lot of really good songs on this album. But one song that was never ever in question was the opening track, Do You Want Me Dead. In my opinion, this is the best opening track on any all-time low album ever, and one of the best opening tracks on any album in general. And keep in mind 2, the album before this, Nothing Personal, opened with Weightless. So calling this the best album opener is quite an achievement. The band has certainly tried to replicate this success. Last Young Renegade, The Reckless and the Brave, and most recently Everyone's Talking, as we saw earlier on this list, are great examples of fantastic opening tracks, but none of them have just quite had the secret ingredient to make them as special as Do You Want Me Dead. I was really thankful when I finally got to see this song live when the band brought it back to the setlist in the Basement Noise concert series. But then I saw it live in person at Wembley Arena 2023 and my mind was blown. This song has everything you need, not just to be a great album opener, but a great song in general. But that opening riff hooks you in straight away, and it's followed by 2 strums that really set the tone, but then dial back. And then the verse is just the riff and Alex's voice, and then it crescendos with... you get to the second verse, which builds things up even further, and the chorus hits you with... And thematically, lyrically, the song is absolutely genius, because it's about someone who clearly has it out for you, and you're staring them dead in the face and saying, "Come at me, bro." But it's done in such a fun way as well. Those guitars, that drum work from Ryan, this is amongst All Time Low's absolute best. Even if you're put off dirty work, if you have to listen to one song from the album, make it this one. You gotta let me be me. Number 7, Thanks to You from Don't Panic. Now, it's easy to see why Thanks to You doesn't really get a lot of celebration or fanfare. At first glance, it seems like a standard, even lesser all-time low song. Simple structure, no fancy instrumentation, relatable but simple lyrics about a simple issue that is being done before and since in a more complex way in other all-time low songs. So why is this so far high up on the list? Well, in my opinion, it's literally because of that. Its simplicity makes it a really digestible and anthemic all-time low song. It's mid-tempo, sure, but it's got loud guitars and a chorus that's easy to sing along to with a hook of... And honestly, for me, this song is really relatable because it's about confronting the very person or the very thing that traumatized you and outright acknowledging the after effects. When I left high school in 2013, this was my anthem. I had a terrible, awful time when I was in high school. And when I left, this was the first song that I thought of and listened to. And in the last decade and a half since then, not missed it at all. In fact, even though I work in schools now, there are moments where my PTSD is triggered from the times I was bullied, etc. And this song just really sums up how I personally feel about the time spent there. But even then, as I've gone on as an adult and faced more serious trauma in life, this song has really resonated with me, and I always come back to it whenever I'm able to get over some kind of trauma, because it's just such a victory lap. But it's also an acknowledgement and acceptance that this pain won't go away, and you just need to deal with it. This is proof that not every song needs to be complex and complicated to be one of the greats. And honestly, I really wish this would get played live more, because it's only been played once for the Basement Noise concert series. Thank you, by the way, Zach Merritt, for picking this song, but to see it in person, I'd lose it emotionally. I really would. You gotta let me be me. Number 6, Oh Calamity from Don't Panic, It's Longer Now. Cast your minds back to the end of part 1, at number 11, when we talked about Calm Down. I said that despite the popularity of Therapy and Missing You, there were 2 other all-time low songs that really hit the feels for me more than those 2. One being Calm Down, and the other song is this one. Furthermore, I said that Old Scars / Future Hearts was my favourite closing track to any standard edition of an all-time low album. But Oh Calamity is my favourite overall all-time low album closer. The standard edition of Don't Panic closes with So Long and Thanks for All the Booze, which is actually the song that you're hearing as the entry intro for this video. And it's a really great song about moving on from your past and finally saying goodbye. And just celebrating the fact that you're you and you've got to be you, and that's the only way you can be true to yourself. If So Long and Thanks for All the Booze is a massive drunken rave, Oh Calamity is the absolute come down from that high. And by God, it hits hard. I have never seen this song live because it only got played on the 2014 Love Like tour, which was before I got to see All Time Low live, unfortunately. But you can bet if I was there, I'd have cried my eyes out, man! The song is about reflecting on something gone wrong. I honestly read it as those things you've overcome, much like the last entry. This is the effect that they're having on you in your life as you move on, as described in Thanks to You. It's about saying goodbye to a person who had such a significant yet toxic effect on you, and wishing you could rekindle things with them in a way that's healthy, and being in the moment and suddenly forgetting and wondering why you ever let them go, or why they ever let you go. And in that moment, you just want them back because you're suffering from withdrawal symptoms. It's a bit like breaking from an addiction, really. And honestly, this song rarely gets talked about, and I really wish it would, because it's a masterpiece of emotion and I cry every time I listen to it. Honestly, whenever I lose someone or have to let something go, whenever I lose someone significant in my life, I don't go to therapy. I don't go to Missing You. I go to Oh Calamity, because this just perfectly expresses all the pain and suffering that I feel I've gone through, and all the grieving that I'm feeling when I'm reflecting on those times, those relationships, those friendships that just haven't worked out for one reason or another. I've spent a lot of time talking about the themes and the lyrics of this song, but it's even more powerful when the chorus kicks in and those guitars, once again, phenomenal work from Jack and Alex, and Zach with the bass, of course. They just come in and they absolutely crush you and bring home the emotional impact of the devastation, and then the chords change in that last bit and you hear that lead riff again from Jack, and it comes together to create a huge wave of emotion. Even talking about this song right now, I'm struggling to keep it together because it means that much to me and it hits me that hard. Oh Calamity does not get enough love in the all-time low community. I'm talking about top all-time low songs. This is never on the list. This is probably the first list you'll see it on, unless I'm mistaken. Link another list in the comments if it is on another list. But absolutely, I would say this is the most underrated all-time low song ever done, and the best closing track on an album, and one of the best all-time low songs ever. Honestly, this may be a controversial statement, but I would happily trade Therapy and Missing You on the set list if it means hearing this, because this, to me, this is the definitive, sad, emotional, all-time low anthem. So Alex, Jack, Zach, Ryan, if you have to bring just one song back to the setlist for your next UK tour, please make it Oh Calamity. You gotta let me be me! Number 5. Sleepwalking from Tell Me I'm Alive. You know, I talked earlier on this list about January Gloom being a very simultaneously energetic and melancholic song. But honestly, I'd say that Sleepwalking does just as good, if not a better job at that than January Gloom. At its core, it's a very simple pop-friendly song, but it's still the best song on Tell Me I'm Alive by a country mile, in my opinion, because despite being the first single, it's so emotionally resonant and easy to listen to. But it's not just that, it's energetic and it's got such a good hook. And this is one of the few times where in a rock song, I don't mind the guitars taking the back seat, just because the vocals, the drums, the bass, and even the stabs from the guitars when they come in, and the lyrics too, they all just come together to make a really good pop-friendly pop-punk song. Feel like
gone sleepwalking when you're gone.
That hits so hard. It's a pretty simple concept. It's about missing someone you love when they're not around. Craving them like an addiction, but it's not necessarily toxic. It's about missing someone who's good for you and you're just worried about losing them. And those are very common fears that we all have, whether it be friends or romantic partners. When you have a dream like that, trying to separate it from reality can be pretty intense and pretty difficult. I can't really describe why this song works so well for me. It kind of just does. I just really like it and I listen to it often. It's strange because there's a lot of songs like this on Last Young Renegade, for example, that with a darker tone have the same kind of structure and it doesn't work as well for me. But despite the fact that this song shouldn't really work for me logistically speaking, it does, and it does a really damn good job of it. Another recommendation, but you've likely heard it because it's quite a big single. They play it live at every show.
You gotta let me be me.
Number 4. Hate This Song featuring I Prevail. In their long history as a band, All Time Low have done at least one collaboration every era. Every single album since Future Hearts has had a feature on it. From Mark Hoppus on Tidal Waves to the criminally underrated Ground Control with Tegan and Sarah, one of the best songs on Last Young Renegade, all the way to Fake as Hell with Avril Lavigne. All Time Low have had many good collaborations with artists big and small. However, in my opinion, the absolute best of all those collaborations is without a doubt Hate This Song with I Prevail. Honestly, I've not really listened to much of I Prevail. I'm not really into post-hardcore or metal music. They seem really good at what they do, but I haven't really checked them out. However, this song feels like a true meeting of the minds between both bands. This track is not only my favourite All Time Low collaboration, but it is also my favourite collaboration in all of music. And yes, that is a very high compliment. Now, to be honest, a lot of collaborations, in my opinion, don't go too well. A lot of the best ones, in my opinion, feel less like a merging of the bands and more like one band song featuring another person on it. Prime example being Liquid by Boston Manor featuring John Florenny of Trophy Eyes. Great song, but doesn't feel like Trophy Eyes or John had any say in the writing of that track. However, Hate This Song feels like I Prevail contributed. All Time Low wrote the bulk and most of it, but I Prevail did write a significant chunk. And bringing that together, it just works so well. Obviously, we don't actually know who wrote how much, but it's evident that I Prevail did write a good chunk of this song. The instrumentation from All Time Low's end is quite heavy for one of their more recent songs, but then you hear the vocals from I Prevail's singer, and it sounds really nice and melancholic. But then the chunky breakdown comes in, and oh my god, those guitars go off. Seeing this song live recently, even if I Prevail weren't there, just really hit home and confirmed how effective everything here is. The absolute best song to sing to someone you don't like since Break a Little Heart. The lyrics have a really complex rhythm to them and fit well with the melody. And honestly, the instrumentation is the bulk of it, but the message and the lyrics as well. And the vocal delivery from Alex and, I'm sorry I don't know the name of the I Prevail singer and screamer, but they just go so frigging well together. And it all crescendos in this fantastic final chorus that has halftime drums, ad-libs and harmonies all over. May feel overproduced to some, but to me it's the right amount and it goes absolutely hard. Honestly, one for the ages. Now, we're about to enter the top 3. However, before we proceed, there's just another set of honourable mentions I'd like to give out. Sick Little Games from Nothing Personal.
We're all part of the same sick little games, and I need a getaway.
Merry Christmas, Kiss My Ass from Dirty Work Deluxe Edition. The best Christmas song.
Oh, you're happy with yourself, 'cause I'm not laughing, don't you think it's
Outlines from Don't Panic.
I'm just a moment, so don't let me pass you by.
Time Bomb from Dirty Work.
It's like a time bomb set in motion. We knew that we were destined to explode.
Dancing with a Wolf from Future Hearts.
Don't you call my name, I will take you down. Sure to know that you've been dancing with a wolf. So
Little Bit from Everyone's Talking.
blow my mind just a little bit. I'm a dog chasing cars for the thrill of it. Insatiable since I was a little kid.
A Daydream Away from Dirty Work.
You're just a daydream away. I wouldn't know what to say if I had you. You gotta let me be me.
Number 3. Lost in Stereo from Nothing Personal. For the longest time, this was my favourite all-time low song, but it has since been dethroned by 2 others, as you can see by its place on this list. Nevertheless, calling back once again to when I talked about Kids in the Dark at number 17, if I had to pick one all-time low song for a party playlist, it would either be Kids in the Dark or this one. Yeah, it's lyrically simple once again, but thematically, it is really relatable in more of a fantasy way. It's about wanting to take this girl home, but she's just so lost in the music that you can't get her attention. And the instrumentation really serves the song well, because those loud guitars, that irresistible riff, and the hook, lost in stereo, lost in it does such a good job of capturing the vibe of this irresistible music that this girl is lost in. And the verses are the only times really when we get to hear the protagonist's side, because even in the bridge, Alex's voice is almost drowned out by the loud music. Honestly, we get lost in the music with the girl, it's that good. It may seem odd that it's ahead of Damned If I Do Ya and Dear Maria, and I will say there's probably more positive elements to those songs from this one that make them a little more complex. But like I said with Thanks to You and Sleepwalking, you don't always have to have complicated to have an amazing song on your hands. And Lost in Stereo is yet another prime example of that. It's relatable, fun to dance to, and one that I always come back to. And my absolute favourite song on Nothing Personal. It is close to being my favourite all-time low songs, but there are still 2 more entries to look at.
You gotta let me be me.
Number 2. Monsters featuring Black Bear from Wake Up Sunshine. Now, given what I said about Hate This Song at number 4 being my favourite collaboration, it may seem odd that this song is a bit higher up on the list. But, like I said before, a lot of great features, in my opinion, don't really feel like collaborations, but feel more like one artist with some vocals done by a guest vocalist. And Monsters is very much one of those songs, but as an all-time low song, in my opinion, it's better than Hate This Song. It's not the better collaboration, but it is the better song overall, in my opinion. And yeah, it's popular for a reason. It's one of all-time low's biggest songs ever. It's been on radio play. It's got a Kids Bop version, which we don't talk about.
Why do I run back to it like I don't mind if it scares me tonight?
And a version with Demi Lovato, which we also don't talk about.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in my face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.
For this entry, I will be sticking purely with the album version, featuring Black Bear and no one else. This song is honestly a masterpiece. Like I talked about for January Gloom, given how dark it is, you'd have thought it'd feel out of place on an album called Wake Up Sunshine, an album where a lot of the tracks are very bright and vibrant, whereas this one is dark and deals with some pretty serious issues. Like a few songs we've seen on this list, it's very self-critical and is at its core primarily about constantly going back to someone who hurts you and ruins your life. And you know they're bad for you, but you're addicted to them and you don't know why you keep returning. And it's about analysing that. Honestly, I'm not a fan of Black Bear, but I do like his verse. And even though a bit of it is ripped from another song that he's done on his own, the lyrics fit well here. I didn't even know it was ripped from another song until I found a comment that said so. The heavy instrumentation really gives this song a vibe that honestly wouldn't sound out of place on Don't Panic, and that's why I love it, and it's why I love a lot of the songs on Wake Up Sunshine, because even though they fit together cohesively, feels like some of them do belong on past all-time low albums. Again, it's hard to describe why this song works so well without either repeating things I've already said about other tunes or just saying, go listen to it. But it works incredibly well, and it's popular for a reason. And this song, depending on the day, might even eclipse my #1 pick. But for this video, my #1 favourite all-time low song of all time is...
Gotta let me be me.
#1. The irony of choking on a lifesaver from Don't Panic.
Stop fucking around with my emotions.
Oh yeah, when your opening lyric is that, you know that you're in for a banger of a tune. Honestly, despite the long and pretentious title, the irony of choking on a lifesaver perfectly encapsulates everything I adore in an all-time low song. It's got everything I want from one. Chunky guitars, vital theming that's very core to personal development, but also very positive. Lyrics that are just so well written. Structure that is varied enough to be interesting, but also simple enough to keep up with. And my absolute favourite all-time low lyric of all time.
Can't you just be happy for me? I'll never be good enough now. I'll never be good enough.
That lyric alone just perfectly sums up life. You're never ever going to be good enough for everyone. So just live for yourself and have the same attitude with others. Be happy for them. As long as they're prospering and you're prospering and everyone's happy, no one's hurting anyone. That's all you need. And that is more powerful than words can describe. Alex's introspective and frankly roasting lyrics here are absolutely on fire and very much relevant to life in general and how we should live. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but that's what makes this song so special to me. Just the notion that you can be out picking flowers and in the daffodils there's a snake hidden there. Like when you meet 100 people in a day, if 99 of them shake your hand, but then one of them hits you in the face, you're going to remember the one who slapped you. And that's the one nuisance that's going to be on your mind for the day. It's about saying to that person, why can't you just be happy for me? I'll never be good enough for you. I don't want your validation. Go bother someone else. This song is just masterful in every way. And I know I've talked about the lyrics a lot and the theming, but as I said earlier, the instrumentation is just masterfully chunky and well thought out, with the build up and come down being carefully structured at each and every point. The band did their work when writing and recording this one. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. I'm really sorry that I kept you all waiting a long time on this one. A lot's happened in the last 2 months. I was going to make an update video to explain it, but I couldn't quite find the words and the motivation to do it. So here's your little mini update. I've had some acting work in the last couple of months, which has taken up time. I transitioned to a new job, and I've had some family issues going on as well. My granddad died, so that's been taking precedent over YouTube. I had to take a bit of a break. As well as that, there's a lot of stuff going on with my band at the minute. We just lost our guitarist. We're currently in the process of recruiting someone new, and we're also working on our second EP, so that's taking up a lot of time and energy. Speaking of, if you want to listen to my band, they're very much a lot like All Time Low, pop punk. You can check out the link to the Spotify in the description below. On your screen right now is my Instagram, which I regularly post on a lot more than here. If you want to see what I'm doing, see which gigs I'm going to, what I'm generally doing in my life, I want to post on there a bit more, so go check that out. I'm also planning on making a TikTok soon. It may be up by the time you see this. More content is coming sooner than you think. I have a new song cover ready to go, so look out for that. Anyway, thank you all for watching. My name is Will, and I will see you next time on my World of Rock.